Now, the rest of the story.
I'm kind of out of practice doing these, so we are getting rain. I think that's from the look of the grain markets. I think everybody is currently getting grain. But the problem is we're really not getting enough to really charge the soil. I woke up to a rain shower this morning. Had a slight shower last night we drove home in, but what it's really doing us, it's really not buying us weeks or months, it's buying us days, potentially hours. Even the ground out here in front of the shed, we had enough rain that, you know, it was muddy. And I did just come in from the field, so I know how the field looks, and the field isn't anything remotely close to being slick or muddy or anything else like that. It's actually drying out. Seems how it was raining 2 hours ago. So it's kind of like what I said. It's exactly like what I said. The ground is like a sponge right now. It is. The rain that we've been getting, it's enough to get everything growing, everything out of the ground. The corn looks, for the most part, awesome. The beans, we have some volunteer corn as expected, which is why I have the Gator sprayer set up. I have that treated and ready to be cleaned out so I can switch the chemical product in that. All of my seeding, I'm probably going to take you guys down to the valley and you guys can see some of the seeding that I put in with that drill. It sat in the ground for a week after it was seeded before it did any growing, but because of the 70 and 80 degree weather days, I know, right, 70, 80 degrees, and I'm wearing a sweatshirt, it was up out of the ground within 2 days of actually getting that first dose of rain that really helped that seed get growing. So it had over, what was the rates now? It was 4.5 pounds of canary, reed canary and Timothy. It was mixed together. And it was 22 and a half of that grass master, which was a mix of a little bit of everything. Fescue and was it orchard? I can't remember. I don't even know if I have any bags over there anymore, but talking about hay, working on the round baler. We got the chain that drives the pickup. I don't know if you guys can see that. See that little bit of gap there on that pin? Is not supposed to have any kind of gap. These chains have been replaced probably 2 years ago. I'm certain I didn't change them last year. And even this connector is whatever. Early season maintenance. This chain was actually off of the idler sprocket that it sits on. Dad and I replaced 2 of the belts. See, we got, actually this is one belt. The other belt is actually good enough where it was just the splice. I'm going to take that up to the local John Deere dealer. I'm going to have them thwack off, 3 feet approximately from the end where the splice is on. And those 3 feet, it's because it's A, to keep the splices from being too close to each other, and B, I start this off as in whatever. The second reason is because those 3 feet following that splice, it does have some nicks and some cuts, and I believe it did have a hole through it. So the splices, these are belts that I've replaced within the last, we bought the Baler in 14, I believe. I fought it, learned some new words running it, because this Baler it was well used, don't get me wrong. It wasn't even, I don't even want to say it was well used, to be honest. I'm not going to give them the luxury of hearing that it was even well used. It was poorly taken care of, in my opinion. Between the belts and the pickup was need of work, and bearings that were replaced. It's a pretty good baler now, all things considered, the issues I had with it last year. it is a fun baler to run. A lot more fun to run than our 535. But these are the belts. This is one of the belts that are replaced. This one is a junk one. As you can tell, I cut it in two to pull it out because this one has several holes, and the actual belting itself through here, it's actually peeled up and gone. I believe it's in the rolled, yeah, I can see it. It's in the rolled up piece right there. But what I have a question for some of my seasoned farmers, viewers. The Baler belts we had growing up, or you can get from your local John Deere dealer, they actually have the two rivet, it's an alligator rivet design, where instead of one big rivet holding these in, it's two little rivets, which I might be able to show you on the Baler. I'm kind of in the middle of the road as to whether or not I had the option of going with the large rivets or the two smaller rivets. Now, we're gonna look here. Oh, that's a big rivet. That one's good. And I don't have a light on me. Put you right up close to it. You guys can see, I think that's the alligator design, where it's got the two little rivets versus one big one. My problem with these is little rivets, you end up losing one. Easier to get beat up on some of the material we make. When I say some of the material, I mean pretty much corn fodder. If I'm gonna start seeing a lot of wear and tear and destruction on the round baler, as far as the belts and the pickup teeth and everything else, the roller chains, I had issues with one of the roller chains. It's usually when I'm trying to bale corn fodder, and that's 150, 200 bales in the fall. I mean, it's a floating number, and it seems like it's trending up every year. Last year we had pretty awesome conditions for making bedding. It's just that it's hard on stuff. No matter how you do it, it's just hard on the baler. I already went through and did the teeth. Dad and I did the belts. These are the new belts. This one and that one. I actually ordered those two boxes right there. I already have the two extra short ones, and then Dad ordered the other 4 remaining belts. So we have enough belts to put all brand new belts on this baler. Now the only two that I was really looking at, like I should really replace, are the outside two, because they are kind of abused. I'll show you. You see this hole right here? Right there? See my fingers disappearing? That's gonna fail. It's not so bad. Now we have the belts on hand to change them out. I can do it within 10-15 minutes. It's not the most enjoyable job in the world, but I've done enough of them that I'm gonna call myself a pro at doing it. Right here we have, man, I wish my camera was picking that up. I can't even tell if you guys can see that or not, but we have a piece right through here, all along my finger, where the belting is gone. It's not busted through, but all the diamond rubber is peeled up. So this one and the outside one, I know I'll be replacing those this year. I mean, I might be able to get them through hay, but I don't think they'll make it through another season of making bedding, just because as damaged as they are now, they're going to start being issues. And the big thing I worry about, I watch for, is net wrap. And the reason it's an issue, back to this one, I cut it out, so I guess you can't see it. Gosh, I think it's a better example on that one, but I'm not going to unravel it. These teeth were busted out, okay? Or these rivets were missing, but it was still connected. So I actually had like these two rivets over here. It was actually right where my finger was on this one, where it was actually hanging back, where it was no longer holding the belt anymore, but it was just kind of existing just along for the ride. And I worry about that, about catching the net wrap in a bad way. And then instead of grabbing the net wrap from the roll and bringing it to the bale, it's not actually letting the net wrap go, and it continues to hold onto that wrap and then continues to take it up around the baler and deposit it someplace where it just makes your life a nightmare. So I do watch for that. That's why I personally, when these go, they go, as far as these rivets. But in my opinion, I mean, these are, well, this will be their 7th season. Well, the ones that are still on, I guess. But they've been on for at least 6 seasons, and you know, I feel like these bigger rivets will take more abuse than 2 little ones, because those 2 little ones I think will give easier. So that's all that is. 4020 needs to go down and get the cultivator. The baler is about done. I'm just going to do the roller chains on this side really quick. I did hit it with the air hose. I got it all cleaned out because it still had all of the corn stalks on it from last year. What I actually had a problem with, when I said I had problems last year, see all these shims? I lost this cotter key, and I lost all this, so then this pulley commenced to slide out, and it was actually, the only thing that was keeping it on was the shield is bolted on, and that was holding it in place, and it was throwing a chain. So that was a 10 o'clock at night fix, but I'm gonna leave it because it works. I mean, if it works, don't fix it is a big motto I have. Other than greasing it, this baler I'd say is pretty well ready to go. I don't know when we're gonna actually make hay, largely because right now with current forecast, it's not a lot of hay, or not a lot of rain that they're projecting, but it's every other day. So my opinion on getting a bunch of sporadic, you know, 2 to 4 tenths of rain every couple days is a lot better currently than getting 1 to 2 inches in just a couple of hours, because then you see washing. The reason I like the rain that we're getting right now is I do know it's going right into the soil, right where it's landing. We hardly have any puddling, anything like that. So as far as what I have to do on here, gonna tighten this guy. I'm gonna check on that guy. I almost might just order this one because this is like a made to order one from the dealership. So I might need to, no, I think it's still tight, but checking the bearings. I have a little temperature thermometer where it's got a little laser on it. I'm gonna fire everything up once I get it put back together, let it sit and run for 10 minutes or so, and then I'm gonna go around and check everything just to see if anything is getting warm, any of the bearings. Try to do some preventative changing now as opposed to taking it out for the first day of making hay and then being broke down. I hate being broke down. Everybody does. I mean, who looks forward to going to the field and being busted? So this roller chain, I'm just gonna hit that with that spray film, that John Deere spray film, where it doesn't actually isn't likely to catch and carry the dirt, so that's how it does stay cleaner. And I am going to go through and pull this out because this is the new shaft that we had made. I got 2 more sitting over on the bench. It's not welded on there. I'm going to show you that really quick, and I'm going to end this video because 20-minute videos are just getting ridiculous. They don't need to be that long. I mean, honestly, I should just hit the off button at 10 minutes because, let's face it, nobody wants to sit and listen to you talk for 20 minutes. So this is what we had made. I know I've addressed it in a video, but the John Deere shaft, it's this. This is what it looks like, all right? It's got the hole in it right there, and it's got this guy here. That's how it keeps its spacing from the gearbox over to, well, over to, yeah, because this is the gearbox side, and this is where that the pulley, that idler, goes into. And the problem we had, went through too many of them, where the John Deere part, they weld this. think they just tack weld it, like right there. Right there. If we didn't take a bunch of metal to the scrapyard last week, I'd say I'd look for it for you. Got tired of it because I had 3 or 4 of these made for less than the price of one of these from the local dealership. I think I was looking at like 400 bucks. Don't quote me on that, but it was too much for what it is. I mean, give me a break. Do have a hardened grade 8 bolt. Went to the local welding shop with the brand new one and said, make me a bunch of these, would you? And that's exactly what they did. And all we asked them was just put a bolt in it, don't weld it, let's see how it works. I haven't taken the one that I've replaced out just yet, but that brand new one that we put in, that we bought, that we had the local machine shop use to make these, because this is one of 2 spares I have yet. That one had already went to pieces on me, and I found it by pure, I don't want to say it's luck, because what did I change? I think I had the roller chain off. I took the roller chain off, and it's like, well, I'm here, might as well go ahead and see what it looks like. And it hadn't given yet, but it was cracked. And once it's already cracked like that, it was going to give, and I guarantee you it was going to give the next day I went to go make hay. I'm looking forward to making hay. It sounds kind of crazy. I mean, in light of, since milking cows, it's a lot more fun to make hay when it's a commodity, when it's something that I'm using to feed my cows, and it's something that I'm using to make money for ourselves. We're helping the farms. When we were making hay for the dairy cattle, I'm not going to get into great details about that, but I didn't enjoy making hay when it was just to throw it out to a bunch of dairy cattle that were not making us money. That's infuriating. But in recent years, last couple years or so, running my grass, running my hay ground, and making waterways and stuff like that, it's really, there's a lot of work to it, and it's tedious, but you know what? If you enjoy it, you're making money doing it, it's worth the headache, I guess is the best way to say it. So round bales versus big squares, round bales are actually going for the same price as the big squares, and it's less headache. I mean, I don't have to worry about getting the squares out of the field and not getting rained on, as opposed to the bales, because I do wrap these heavier than we did growing up. I know I really got to end this. Growing up, we would put 2 wraps of net wrap on a bale, and that was it. Anymore now, I'm over 3, because I know I'm going to be handling the bales more often. With more net wrap on it, it makes the bales more durable, so you can handle them more. It's one thing if you're only going to put 2 wraps on them, and then your only movement of that bale is from the field to where you're storing them, from where you're storing them to the cattle. That's it. And even then, you gotta be a little bit careful, because you generally probably are gonna tear them. For me, I handle my hay quite a bit, because I let it air out, because it's gonna go through a heat for about 2 weeks. So I haul it from the bale, or from the field to the buildings, set them apart so they have air around them so they can breathe, let them sit for XYZ amount of time, scoop them back up, put them in the shed, have them in the shed, pull them back out, load them onto the trailer, and take them either back here to the farm to feed them, or wherever I end up taking them. So that's that on the Baler update. You know what, I'm probably going to do another video on that one right away, but I'm not going to make a 40-minute long video.